Thank you very much, Vedius. I'm Medic, this is Endo, and we're here for this game. I'm very excited by Limit. I think he's a great support. I really enjoy watching him, and I love his style when you compare it to the styles of people like Kaiser and Hylissang and Mickey.
And I mean, it's crazy. I was looking at the stats over here. Blow my mind. 11th place in duo proximity. He's always roaming around the map, is what that would lead you to believe. But I'm excited for this matchup in general. Of course, SK just came off of a big upset win against G2 yesterday. Vitality, no strangers to that. They've done that earlier this split as well here. So these two teams are both sort of trying to figure out their place within our league because they've had upsets. They've also lost to teams that maybe you feel like they shouldn't have. And this game will be pretty telling for where they're going to end up sitting towards the end of the season.
I think there's a lot of just like doubt in my mind about where each team sits in our ecosystem, because we have, as you say, the upsets of SK beating G2, but SK are currently sitting by themselves in third place. Are they better than Fnatic? Are they better than Origin? Are they better than G2? We're almost a third of the way through the split, and although you can say some teams get off to a slow start, I'm really interested to see how this middle portion of the split develops, because it's very often that the next 6 games is really where teams define if they're a playoff team or not.
Because that's one of the things we talk about a lot is usually it's around 9 wins you need to make it in
it's
the
usually
playoffs
8.
at the end.
It's usually 8.
Usually 8, yeah. But now if we don't have like a standout team, does that number start changing? It gets crazy here. So SK versus Vitality to start off a day with a lot of really sick games. This one should be close. Of course, later on today we have Mad Lions versus Rogue, and then Fnatic versus G2.
Yep, the match of the week.
Yes.
In Fnatic versus G2, both sitting at 3-3 so far. But let's get on to pick some bans. SK on the blue, Vitality on the red, and we'll see what we start off with. Things like the Varus, things like the Syndra have been very common bans in this first rotation. But now SK are just taking their time, giving me nothing to talk about. They'll get rid of the Kalista.
Hey, there are a few things about SK though. Some trends I've been seeing through their drafts. Of course, big talking point of yesterday was, they had so many good tools to deal with G2. And a lot of that comes from the fact that they love to build comps with an inherent range advantage. This means stuff like the Azir, the Zoe, the Corki in the mid lane, but also a lot of Ezreal for Crownshot down bot side. And this generally gives them a pretty large advantage where they can take that in towards the team fights. But the other thing that's been a little bit peculiar is Jenax up in the top lane. Of course, with the role swap, he's played 6 unique champions so far up there, and always gives some room for that added flexibility, even when you know what to expect from the other players on this team.
Well, at the moment that Ezreal is available, Set is going to get taken away from Trick. No real surprises there. It's been one of his signature champions this split. And we'll see where SK want to go with their first pick.
And with a Trundle and a Set ban, 2 of the more popular junglers for these guys, I'm immediately starting to look towards the Gragas which both of these junglers rather do enjoy. Now with the Yuumi Ezreal being left open, you assume here that they're going to be able to grab that for themselves. And then Vitality, we have seen the Lulu plus Aphelios combination as being a very strong answer into that. So seems to be the option here for Comp and Labrov. Now, I will say Labrov has played a lot more melee supports so far in this split. I think he has 1 game on
the 2
Yuumi games, but no Lulus so far. And Yuumi is sort of in her own bubble when it comes to supports. This will be a different look for the support.
And we have talked a lot about Comp and Labrov as, this Greek bottom lane that we expected really to rise up for Team Vitality. They've had a few good performances, but nothing stellar so far, and they're matching up to one of the stronger bottom lanes in the league in the form of Crownshot and Limit right now. Azir will be locked in for ZaZee in the mid lane. It's his 4th time on that, currently sitting at 100% win rate on the champ, so no real surprises there. And SK perhaps will want to get a jungler in here. Can, of course, flex the Volibear to the top lane if they so desire.
Well, the thing is, if you don't go for your Ezreal here, then that's going to get banned out in the next rotation.
Who needs Ezreal, man?
I mean, I think Ezreal plus Yuumi is an insane combination, but what do I know? Especially when Crownshot's your ADC. Crowny is synonymous with Ezreal. He loves the champion down there, so very clearly saying they're willing to leave that open, because if I'm Vitality, there's almost no way I don't ban that champion. All of a sudden, Crownshot's going to have to reach towards the less common pairings. With Yuumi, we have seen the Misfortune be one floating around in the league. A long time ago, there's Lucian, but haven't seen that champion in months.
Yeah, it's not really the forefront of the meta is Lucian. There is the Ezreal ban from Vitality, so not going to see that AD carry for Crownshot. And everything he's played this split has actually already been banned away, because he's only played Ezreal, Aphelios, and the Varus for 1 game. SK Gaming going to get rid of a jungler themselves as they take away the Gragas, which means Trick is actually falling down his champion pool as well.
I mean, Trick could be going for the Volibear himself, so we'll have to wait for that one. I do want to draw attention to this Twitch ban, because this is something I believe we saw over in the LCK. It might have been the LPL, correct me if I'm wrong here, but paired with the Yuumi can be deadly. You know, the last chapter for Yuumi just lines up for those, you know, ults that everyone likes to complain about on Reddit, always miss, can be flashed away and whatnot. Well, if they're CC'd, they can't be, and Yuumi very good at lining up champions to make that AoE strike true.
You see NG going to fall back to a strong jungle pick that we don't see too much of these days because there are, you know, powerful jungle picks in front of it in the form of the Olaf and SK. It looks like that MF will be where they go for their AD carry pick here. So they do have some strength. They've got very strong team fighting if they can lock people up, but instead they are thinking about taking Ornn into the top lane.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you lock in Misfortune, then you really want the Ornn. Of course, then you get the reliable engage, because even with Volibear in the jungle, he has a lot of good tools to try and close the gap. He's still a juggernaut, right? So the actual CC he's going to provide is very single target focused. Having that Ornn here is going to bolster that up a whole lot, and also means you're going to be giving over the Rabadon's death cap towards your Azir. And I do expect the Misfortune now to come through for Crownshot in the bot side. Again, what SK's comp gives you is a lot of range. This is something we set up at the start of the draft, saying they like to take compositions that can beat you by outranging you. And Vitality do have some good options themselves, the Corki, of course, but one of Aphelios' biggest weaknesses as a champion is that when he's not using his ultimate or that long-range Calibrum gun, he actually has to get quite in your face to deal the damage.
He can do a lot of damage if he gets up close and personal, but SK going to try and keep him at arm's length. Maokai is the final pick for Cabochard. That is his 6th unique champion this split, but does what he has been doing for Team Vitality, which is provide some engaged threat, provides a strong meatball front line, and he works well as part of this composition. Yeah. Meatball front line?
I think Captain Flowers was always the meatball comps, the tanks in the top lane. We got some meatballs in this game with Ornn and Maokai as well. I really like Maokai, especially after the TP changes. You can just zoom into those backlines, can be very effective at locking down champions, specifically like a Azir, but also because Yuumi doesn't provide immediate CC, you actually can get towards that Misfortune as well here on that Maokai pick, and Olaf's going to be wanting to do the exact same thing.
We'll see if Vitality are able to get on towards that backline. It's the first game of day 2 here in week 3, SK versus Vitality. And we will see which of these two teams can come out on top. So I will say, usually we have a really cool video there, but this time we decided against it.
But today we have some really cool gameplay.
Oh yeah! Well done, Enderman. That's the best segue I've heard. Now, one thing I do want to talk about, because the intention originally was that I was going to do the limit section at the start of the day, but I got subbed in to cast with you because we work so well together, Ender, right? And so I have a lot of knowledge about Limit and about how he likes to roam around and team up with Trick.
Sure.
And my interest in this game is he is not playing a champion I would usually think of as someone who leaves lane and then teams up with, with his jungler to roam around and get vision. However, I do see this beautiful synergy between a Volibear and a Yuumi, where it's like, hey, Volley, you want to go fast? We're going to go really fast.
Yeah, we're going really fast.
We're going warp speed, right? We're going as quickly as we can on towards the enemy jungler and get vision. So I really want to keep my eyes on Limit, especially after probably about the 5 to 7 minute mark, and see if he keeps teaming up with Trick, because that is actually where SK have got a lot of their advantages from in the past.
Yeah, because we actually, when Vedius was doing a segment earlier, we were looking at the stats.
My segment, yeah.
Yeah, your segment. Yeah. Medic might have wrote it. Who knows? We'll leave that up to debate. But Limit's duo proximity is 11th place, but he also hasn't played a Yuumi, so maybe that's a little bit misleading.
Exactly.
Of course, he teams up with Trick a lot. I believe he was first in the league for jungler duo proximity, so there you have it. Limit, with this champion, going to be very strong at that. And one of the things you're sort of mentioning with Volibear is that him on his own doesn't offer a ton of CC in a 5v5 team fight. He's very single target focused in that department, but with the Yuumi ultimate on top of him, of course, gives him so many options. He can ult into the back line and really cause a lot of disruption towards the Vitality team.
Vitality, on the other hand, have powerful late-game threats in the form of an Aphelios and the form of a Corki. They've got that strong front line, and we'll see if they can get towards a portion of the game where they can take those front-to-back teamfights versus SK, because as we've said, SK do have the tools to keep Vitality from getting too close to their backline.
Yeah, now they have a lot of tools, but I do think Vitality also have some good options as well. Of course, when you have an Olaf who can shrug off a lot of CC effects, Lulu also with the Whimsy to be able to speed you into backlines. And we've also mentioned the Maokai TPs in towards the backside too. So I think both teams have very clear identities of how they want to attack within these team fights, and it's not like one team got some kind of massive advantage over the other. This one feels like it should be pretty close overall.
And I think that's kind of what you would have expected at the start of the split. You know, SK and Vitality bringing a few new players in, shuffling some pieces around. You know, with Jenax going to the top lane, we both expected these teams to be quite close together. Perhaps not as high up the standings as SK have managed to climb, and we'll see if they can continue that trajectory. A lot of damage onto Labrov there, down in the bottom lane. He ate a double up, and that is a pretty hefty chunk of change for Labrov to take.
Limit has run himself pretty low on mana, though, within this lane.
I want to see... you've got the thing up. Can you see when his auto attack, his passive is up? Yeah, so he's got passive up right now, so he can actually get some mana back if he can get in range of just auto-attacking Labrov. And this is the thing with Yuumi that I think a lot of people negate, is her ability to actually regenerate the mana, because your spells are very expensive. It's so expensive.
Even more expensive on the next patch.
Even more expensive on 10-11, but if you can jump in and out and get some of these auto-attacks off, get the shielding for your AD carry and get that mana back, that's why Yuumi can be so oppressive in a lane.
All right, Limit, walk up and give me an auto-attack. The minion wave's too big. He's never going to get mana until the next wave, so it's been unfortunate here. Good news for SK, at least, is that Comp has run out of his red gun, so has lost a lot of his personal sustain options, because that, of course, is going to be a big difference between the Lulu and the Yuumi. Over the course of an extended laning phase or within a fight as well, Yuumi offers so much healing to her allies, whereas Lulu gives you a ton of immediate survivability, both with the self-peel options of putting a polymorph on an enemy, but also with the ultimate and the shield. It makes trading come out on top, but if you give Yuumi time, that's where she's going to shine.
Trick was spotted on a ward as he came around here. He was also spotted on one on Krugs. NG actually came into the jungle to steal away some of these Razor Beaks, and it looks like he's just trying to keep track of Trick right now, making sure that that Volibear isn't looking for a signature move of this SK lineup, which is an early bot lane gank, especially with Comp and Labrov having the lane priority, having the push, meaning they're a little bit overextended and could have been caught out. Yeah,
and they're actually calling Trick down here as well, because again, Limit still hasn't got that auto off, so the mana, and therefore the HP not coming through. Now Trick will avoid the ward on this charge forward, and it's important to note, NG has not gone back to base. He wants to be here for the Drake.
Oh, Labrov coming around the side. Here comes the Thundering Smashes. They're going to lock up the Lulu for now. Flashes away. NG started up the Drake, but now Trick has to run. He flashes as well, stunned up with the Graviton, rooted in place. NG's going to try and turn it around as the TP comes in from Jenax. Not yet level 6 and doesn't really have a way to get into this fight apart from the flash. Looking for the knockup. They land it on NG, but here comes the counter TP. Exhaust goes down. Comp trying to survive with the Crescendo with the Severum. He's getting a lot of healing back, and he gets the shield as well from Lulu. 2 TPs in from Vitality as they get 1 kill, but here comes the second from ZaZee. He's got no mana. The Azir comes in, could only put 1 soldier down, and the Yuumi isn't going to be able to heal up Jenax quite enough. He gets another heal. Cabochard goes in with Bramble Smash. The minion! Oh, he takes the minions instead! Oh, Cabochard betrayed by the very minion that he placed to take the kill. Couldn't quite get the final auto attack in.
If only you could control the saplings right there, Cabochard would have had his revenge. It's still a kill going over to him in this bottom lane fiasco, because at the end of the day, it's just 1 kill apiece between these two teams, even though it was complete madness with 4 teleports spent overall towards that bottom lane. Because it sort of started off, right, with SK looking for this gank. Trick had been down here before, but this time he avoids the ward. Importantly, though, NG is here to counterattack, and also SK, very little mana, 0 mana on Yuumi, very little left on Crownshot, and with the flash coming through, Trick gets rooted still. Now, NG throws the axe before flashing forward, so maybe could have done a little bit better there, but still is just trying to disengage at this point. And once SK fully find themselves coming in towards the fight, that's where the double teleports come in. Now, Crownshot isn't able to deal any damage onto Comp, which means the range DPS that SK was relying on is not there, and that allows Comp to escape. No one had mana in that fight, I'm realizing.
Call of the Fortune comes in the top lane. Cabochard locked up, and he is taken down. And It's pretty easy to catch Cabochard out, and remember, he has no TP now as well, no summoners on that tree, so it's going to be very hard for him to get back on into this lane.
And props to Trick looking for the top lane gank right there, because it's actually important. After so much was burned down in the bottom lane, Trick, a lot of junglers say, oh, we need to go back down there, but looking at this jungle matchup where Olaf offers so much innate value, especially when flashes are going to be down, Volibear can't quite match that, even with the movement speed built in towards this kit. He realizes Olaf is going to be playing bot side, Olaf is going to be looking for that Drake, and then Trick allows himself to find a kill and deny a whole lot of minions up to Cabochard top.
It's more about the denial than getting Jenax ahead. Jenax, in fact, understanding the matchup he's in, has got himself a cull early on here. It's like, okay, guys, I'm here to farm. Usually on Ornn, you want to get those tanky items, but he knows he's going to get some pretty free farm up there.
Yeah, I love the conversation. I think Dracos and Frost were having it yesterday about how Cull is just the wrong item, right? It should be like, I don't know, like a rake or something, because these tanks are not actually going to be dealing damage to each other. I think it's even more applicable in this laning phase with a Ornn versus a Maokai.
The tree versus the Forge God. Bullet time used to in the bot lane, trying to force Comp out. Level 6 already on Crownshot meant that he has the advantage right now, and Comp actually looks like he's going to go back in the lane. Might lose some CS. He was just channeling his recall, decides to stay around.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Trek coming down here now, SK don't actually need the ultimate. They just needed the damage, because again, very little sustain for Comp here unless he can auto-attack with that red gun. So ZaZee, with pressure coming out through the middle lane, is trying to walk on down here. Now, Milica just went back to base, or is trying to, because he can find himself a package, but this is a really good map move from SK to deny the bot lane.
I do really like it, and I think it's very strong from SKs, as you say, to get those plates, to get this MF ahead. And we've talked about how much they like funneling Crownshot. Average of 931 gold difference in 15 minutes for this player as an AD carry. However, what I will note is SK have really struggled to take objectives early on here. Usually we see them going for the first dragon, going for the first Rift Herald, and we actually see Trick playing on the opposite side of the map to where the objective is. And I think this is partly because Limit can't be there with him to clear out the vision.
I think you're absolutely on to that right there, because when you don't have a support that can help you roam, it makes it difficult, especially when you're in a losing jungle matchup. Volibear doesn't necessarily want to walk into the Olaf and like throw down, right? He's tanky enough that he doesn't really have to take those fights. But I will say, look at the lanes now from SK. 20 CS lead in the top lane, 5-6 in the mid lane, 10 down bot side as well. Trick has been in the right places at the right time consistently in this game. At the end of the day, I don't care if you give away early objectives. If you have more gold than your opponents to fight for the second or the third Drake, you're going to be in a fantastic position.
I totally agree with you, and I think that goes into your solo queue playstyle as well. The amount of times I've had you as my jungler, it's like, nah, we give out this dragon. It's fine. I'm farming. I'll get towards my Infinity Edge Rek'Sai pretty soon.
Okay, I don't always build Infinity Edge.
Yeah, but the fact that you build it ever is the problem, Ender.
Selfmade did it, and he's one of the best junglers in Europe.
They lost that game.
End of story.
Anyway, yeah, SK do have a 2,000 gold lead now. So even though they haven't been able to get those early objectives, they are getting the gold. As you said, we now actually see Limit is teaming up with Trick.
And he's going to be here because they're just playing for these top lane plates. And Engie, you say, oh, he has the Rift Herald, we want to put down that in the bot side. But because SK are first to the punch, it's going to end up being a relatively even trade overall when it comes to these plates. So I think SK are still winning out, because even though this is an even trade, you look back earlier and it's like, okay, when the Herald was actually taken, there was actually a lot of CS denied in that bottom lane, which is going to be a big deal. And also that Infernal Drake, the actual stats on that, I could care less. The stats on the basic Drakes just don't really matter.
We've had this discussion before, Ender. Couldn't care less. I couldn't care less. If you could care less, that means you care about it to a degree. Rift Herald used here in the bottom lane. Doesn't take the tower, but in the end, it will go down to Corki.
Not my English teacher. Jeez.
Look, I'm a pedant and a doctor at the same time. Interestingly, the trade didn't really happen as we expected it to. The Rift Herald was used in the bottom lane and did take the tower. And Crownshot only managed to get 3 plates in the top lane. It is still a good amount of gold funneled into this MF. He is still ahead, but I would have expected them maybe to look for another plate in that top lane.
Well, there was sort of a sequence of events here where they SK didn't commit 3 people to the top lane to go for that push, because Trick and Limit, as you so rightfully called out, they're teaming up again. They're the tag team. They're walking through the river right now, even without the rest of their team around them. They're setting up vision because they really want to contest for this Mountain Drake right away. Now, when we actually go ahead and look at the overall gold values between these teams, AD carry is going to be dead on even down there in the bottom lane, but Big difference is that Comp tried to finish off his Berserker Greaves. So that means he only has components towards the Infinity Edge, whereas Crownshot now has the fully completed Essence Reaver, which could be a big deal in the coming fight here around this dragon, assuming Vitality go all in and try to fight them.
I'll see if they have to, because they don't need to force the tempo if they don't want to.
Also, big level leads. You have 1 level in the top lane, you have 1 level in the mid lane, 2 levels, now just 1 between Crownshot and Comp, but TP's in bot.
Trying to force the fight is here. Comes the bullet. Time as Comp is able to escape from the side of it. Double TP used by SK. Call of Portugal's going to get popped as well. But the root comes out. Jenax able to just to get around it. Labrov has to flash away in the bottom lane. And SK, they really want to fight over this mountain. Drake, Cabochard, able to escape off towards the top side.
So SK cannot immediately start this mountain because, importantly, ZaZee's teleport bot side. Milica didn't use his, so he's still pushing in mid. He's walking that minion wave in, and NG is just trying to buy time for Milica to get that push, take a plate, and now set up inside of the river. Now, Trick has ultimate, ZaZee has ultimate, but a lot of cooldowns are going to be missing for SK, and their bot lane, yet again, has very little mana.
They're going to step into the river right now as Trick goes in, looks for the stun. They're trying to get onto Comp, but Comp is able to escape from the top side of this, and Trick is going to go down first. Comp slays him. Crownshot now eats the Moonlight Vigil and has to flash away. NG low as well, already used the smite. Comp gets the double. He's looking for more as ZaZee has to shuffle his way across the wall. Milica will continue on the chase, but the dragon goes to Vitality, as does the team fight.
Vitality just seemed like they had a much better understanding of the last 60 seconds, how to play around that Drake. They were able to disengage that fight in the bottom lane. They held Milica in towards mid to get the push, and then they just stacked up with 5 people. Everything SK did, on the other hand, felt very forced. Trick diving on in there. ZaZee never ended up using his ultimate, and it seemed like a minute before the Drake spawned, they said, we're fighting this Drake, and they were at no point willing to say, actually, we should just back away here.
It's only second dragon of the game. You don't have to invest this hard, especially no call of the force shot. Jenax is just here by himself.
Look where ZaZee is. ZaZee's like, wait, we're fighting this? I thought, but there's minions in mid lane. I have to get them. Then Trick dives in. Crownshot, no ultimate. If Crownshot has ult, it's a very different story, but he has no ult, very little mana on top of that. So Trick instantly dies after completely jumping in there, wasting his flash. And ZaZee gets here far too late. Crownshot cannot assist him within the damage, so Vitality able to absolutely tear it apart there. Nice little pop out there from him.
Yeah, nice little play. Didn't notice that the first time. It's a little pop out to make sure that Crownshot didn't fall, but let's have a look at where... Whoa, okay.
Yes.
I think you can tell a slight difference in who was dealing the damage there. Of course, Comp did have a long time just hitting Jenax and just hitting Trick.
And also Trick, yeah.
Yeah, when you're hitting a front line like that, you are going to do quite a lot of damage. But for now, Vitality have evened out that gold disadvantage that we saw them at earlier on. Infinity Edge is now complete on Comp. Milica's just dinged over to level 11 and is 10 stacks away from completing a cull of his own. So when he gets towards that Trinity Force, Vitality are going to be incredibly strong. And I wonder if it will be around the time that we get towards this next Drake. He's just about to go back now. We'll see. He's only got the Phage. Okay, so he's still a while away from his Trinity Force, but he has got the package. SK going to start up the Rift Herald. Will be their first neutral objective of the game if they can take it.
Vitality look like they want to fight this, though, because Milica has the package. Cabochard has started walking up, so they don't have vision inside of the river, but they have the ultimates if they were here in time, and they're still going to look to catch out Trick, perhaps.
I think they might just accept and stick with mid lane prio. That is what they will do. I was anticipating a fight as well, Ender. But they decide against it.
Vitality wanted it. They were just a little bit slow on the punch.
Yeah, 15 seconds. 20 seconds too far behind the play. So they weren't able to get there in time. But let's take stock of exactly where we are. 15 minutes in, goal pretty much even between these two teams. And coming into this game, I would have said that SK had shown me a lot more so far this split for me to have faith in them winning this game. Vitality have had a very good comeback after a perhaps poor fight around the dragon. And so now I'm really interested how they take this sort of momentum that they have into the game and translate it into a win.
Yeah, because when I'm looking at how Vitality are trying to play this one out, it's going to be all about team fights, right? They seemed like they had a better understanding of playing around that last Drake, and, you know, with NG's early, you know, obsession over those objectives, they're now sitting pretty comfortably with 2 Drakes in their pocket. So SK are going to be forced into them, and that's where they can really try to abuse some things we talked about a little bit earlier, right? When Cabochard's teleport is coming back up. Can he invade that SK backline? make it so that Yuumi has to worry about people coming at her from 2 different directions when she's trying to peel. And of course, having the value of a Lulu against especially a Volibear that's just charging into you, you're going to feel real sad if you're Trick here. So I want to see how Vitality can set up around these objectives and then execute in the team fights, because that's going to be their big advantage.
SK are going to try and get vision control around the dragon relatively early on here. Still a minute and a half before this dragon spawns, but they are gaining a little bit of push in the mid lane and then moving across. Comp and Labrov teaming up with NG to make sure that it's not a safe road for Vitality. But SK currently have control, sorry, for SK. But SK currently have control of the river and of the Scuttle Crab with a minute left on the clock for the dragon.
One other interesting thing that is just sort of catching my eye is that actually SK, very AP-focused top side of the map. 4 champions that are dealing primarily magic damage, apart from Crownshot. So I look at NG's build and I see the ninja tabbies over there. I'm like, oh, okay, not necessarily sure if I'm sold
to the shopkeeper
on that one. Perhaps just a little bit. Cabochard also had itemized early for the Sunfire Cape, so these items are effective against Crownshot. But I feel as though if the MR starts to come through, that's where SK are going to be struggling a little bit more. And because it didn't come in super early, this fight won't feel quite as mismatched.
I will say, when I look at Volibear, I think physical damage, because he's a bear and he hits people with his claws.
He's a magic bear.
Yep, is he though?
He's got the power of lightning and ice.
And anime on his side.
Yeah. Well, the Freljord
yes,
on his side.
So I do not blame people if you're sitting at home and saying, hey, Volibear's a big bear, he hits people with his claws, why is he not dealing physical damage? As you say, he's a lightning bear, he does mostly magic damage, it's just one of those oddities of League of Legends.
And he's a summoner, he just summoned a Rift Herald too, he can do it all, right?
And SK will get the dragon. So Vitality deciding they didn't want to fight around it. Yeah, it was a little bit of an interesting one, perhaps just not the perfect reset timing for them, or they were waiting on Comp, who is just about to finish his second item. However, you're ahead in most of itemization across the board, so I feel that Vitality could have taken that fight.
Yeah, I feel like they slowed down just a little bit here, and now they don't really have much to fight over, and she's just going to be trying to take away some jungle camps, while Crownshot, as you can see in the bottom corner of your screen, going to pick up the tower in the bottom lane. Now, one other thing we can talk about with these teams is there aren't a lot of great side lane options, and that's going to make Milica very happy on this Corki. So especially once the Tourney Force gets finished off, how much money he's got? He's got 900 in the bank, so he's very, very close to that one. On his next reset, we'll be able to pick that one up. And, you know, and Ornn isn't going to necessarily match up super well into that Corki, especially as soon as, like, the Infinity Edge and those crit items do come through for him. So Vitality have even more options, especially when they're playing around like, Cloud, Soul, or a Baron later on into the game, because they can create pressure points on other areas of the map, specifically through that Corki, whereas SK do not have the tools within their kit to be able to do that. SK will always be lured into the 5v5.
Yeah, and the thing about when we talk about split push and what's always been the moniker around it is, if the enemy team is split pushing, can you hard engage? Because you are a numbers advantage in whatever lane you're on. Jenax actually going to get caught off in the side lane here, as NG, Labrov, and Comp are on the chase. Call of the Fort God comes down. Comp will take a lot of damage from it, but they still have the Wild Growth. Comp gonna heal up with a heal of himself. The Wild Growth's been used as well on NG to get the knock up, and Comp survives. Hey, Ornn, he's the DPS tank, bruiser, assassin, melee, mage. What are the other ones?
Literally everything.
Yeah,
right?
literally everything.
I'm like, Ornn's making Aphelios look balanced over here.
Okay. So what you can do is you isolate the person who has the teleport, and that's exactly what Vitality just did. I think Jenax maybe was just a little bit pushed up in that lane. He hasn't got a tower, hasn't got any vision to defend him.
But check out the cascade effect from that kill is now Vitality swept that pressure through bot side jungle. Comp stole away the Krugs. Sure, take them. You love to see that on your ADC, and they got some pressure in towards mid lane. So they've moved that single kill bot side to stealing enemy jungle camps, to getting mid lane pressure, to then getting vision inside of SK's top side jungle, and of course Baron has spawn. So we're not going to see Vitality do another 3-man play towards the bottom lane when SK are in a position to be able to threaten away at that objective. But what we will continue to see is this Aphelios get stronger and stronger and stronger, because now that we're in that mid-game period, the jungle doesn't really belong. Wait a second.
Right, Trick gets it, but then he gets out, Stormbringer into the flash. Milica, final auto attack, will get the kill. Milica was just sitting in a pocket of vision there, wasn't spotted by SK, and perhaps Vitality
will do this Baron. I think they can.
The only issue I have with it is I think comp has Graviton. Oh, no,
We did a segment on this earlier today. Do you start the Baron? Type yes or no in chat right now. I'm going to say yes.
I mean, it won't come up anywhere, but you can type yes or no in chat if you want to. They're going to start up the Baron. Crownshot does have the bullet time. You've got the final chapter as well, so if you can lock them up, you can do quite a lot of work. Here's Cabochard from the backside, looking to root up one. Jenax gets caught, but here's the call of the Forge God. Baron low, should be secured by NG. He gets it. The bullet time was stopped by the polymorph. Labrov with the whimsy. Perfect place, perfect time, and Vitality get out. 5 members alive.
And Cabochard, huge MVP right there. Not only did he find the initial flank to help pick out Trick in that topside jungle and remove the smite from SK, but the way he used that ultimate right there to completely zone SK, not away from the pit, but away from the river itself, it was just not possible. And this, again, is all coming through from the fact Vitality got full map control off of one singular pick in the bot side. Cabochard also gets that ramping move speed, which was buffed when he's out of combat again, so able to come in around there and cause some pain for Trick. But then, I mean, he was able to then, after that play, make the full loop around inside of the river so that SK didn't expect him to come underneath one more time.
Really well played by Vitality so far. 5 kills to 2, up a 2,000 gold lead, and their competition is well and truly online. 1-4 is the split. Cabochard acting just as a middleman between the middle and the bottom lane right now. Milica has that wave pushing it.
And Vitality want to play 1-4 at the moment, so they don't want to split up 1-3-1 and risk giving up control over this bot side jungle, as the Cloud Drake is going to be spawning very, very soon. That's why we see Milica down in that bottom lane. He's now made the rotation up, though, because with the wave crashing in towards the tower, they were looking to maybe put some damage and remove that Azir turret. Doesn't end up happening in the end, but Milica is right where he wants to be, and Crownshot cannot contest him in this lane, especially with how forward Vitality are playing in the jungle.
I mean, we've already seen Jenax die in a side lane because he was slightly too far pushed up here. Crownshot having to step all the way back, does have the bullet time. Baron buff is going to super up these minions.
Also, Trick was just on Grump, so Vitality can walk in here no problem.
Yeah, Trick's going to be able to get some mid-prio here with ZaZee, but I think we are seeing part of the weakness of SK if Limit isn't able to team up with Trick early on. Like, they're not able to get these early objectives. They're not able to funnel as much gold onto Crownshot as they'd like, and Vitality have just taken the game by the scruff of the neck now. SK can't do anything about it.
Well, this game is a really interesting sort of path we've taken through it, because, of course, there was chaos in the bottom lane very early on, but then I thought Trick responded out of that super, super well while NG was so focused on objectives. Just gonna wait to see if Crownshot face check the bush. While NG was focused on objectives, Trick was getting his lanes very far ahead, playing on crashing minion waves, denying EXP from Vitality's lanes, and it was looking so good for SK. But when it came to playing around the objectives and how to approach lane states prior to them, Milica and the rest of Vitality have looked leagues ahead of SK, and that's how we saw the second Drake of the game go their way. That's how we saw them get the pick in the bot lane, then the pick in the jungle, and then that all transpired and sort of cascaded into a Baron buff. And now the game's just sort of been blown open, right? Gold is overall close, but Vitality have full control over the map.
They really do. Later on today, of course, we have the battle for first, or the battle of the best between Mad Lions and Rogue, and we have the match of the week, which usually would be perhaps a little bit more hype than it is. You can spell week with W-E-A-K. Right now,
I like G2. Match of the Meek. When we have like the really like when it's 9 versus 10.
1 Fnatic versus G2, our final game of the day. But for now, we'll focus in on what remains of this one, because Vitality have total control of this blue side jungle. They have taken all of the, well, on the tier 2s, they've got the middle and the top lane left, and they're trying to get rid of this middle one right now, but Jenax not having too much of it.
I'm not sure how intended this is from Comp, but I would like to say good gun management when he has Calibrum when they're setting up for a siege. I would have actually preferred almost to see him running through the red gun right now as opposed to using Calibrum on the wave, because you look at the map, we're still 2 minutes away from Baron, 3 minutes away from that Cloud Soul. So very unlikely we see a team fight breakout, which is where maybe you consider the value you get from sustain, comboing red plus white for that single fire, single target burst damage would be highly valuable. But I at least think that when you're walking into these siege situations, Calibrum is going to give you your best bang for your buck.
I believe in the LCK they called it the sniper, the Caitlyn.
Yeah.
So if you have Calibrum and Seven, because you have long range.
I believe when you have Calibrum, you have Caitlyn's auto attack range.
I think it's the same range.
Yes.
We may be wrong, and if we are, tweet at Endercasts. Tell him that he's incorrect.
Real fast.
It's the only one that you need to. Or at Ellen DeGeneres. It's his other ID that he has. Anyway,
why is that one verified, but mine isn't? Like, what's going on? It's my ult.
that Cloud Drake up in 2.5 minutes, and as you say, SK are trying to do something here. The issue is, this relies on comp overstepping, because you can't pull Vitality into a fight. There's nothing to fight over for, and Vitality have shown us throughout the course of this game, they are very willing just to play the map. They don't have to force a fight unless there is something for them to gain out of it. So all they do is they clear out the mid wave, they make sure that SK don't have an inside track on their mid tier 2, and then they gain control of the bot side junglers. Milica continues to push in bot.
And while how these teams play the map is important, so is my pride. So I'll say that Aphelios with Calibrum does have the same auto attack range as Caitlyn. So there you go. Now, SK, as you're saying, good control through mid lane. This Sundisk going down, gonna be nice for them as well. Now, at the same time, Milica just took a reset. So we can try and check. He's going to be picking up the package. 40 seconds on Baron, 60 seconds on that package. So does have some time to work with. But what it has meant is that he wasn't actually bot lane to whack away at this tower. Had he stayed down there, granted he doesn't have the best vision control in the bot side jungle, very likely could have knocked down that tower. But Vitality, again playing 1-4, need him topside to set up the top wave, coordinate that with the mid wave to then press into the SK jungle and take vision.
Yeah, because the Baron is the next major objective that's on the cards here. 13 seconds on that. So you want Milica here, get the prio, then get that vision in. They already have control wards littered in this jungle. They're in a very good position. They just want to clear out a couple of wards that SK have managed to get in. Of course, the Scuttle Crab will give SK just that little bit extra awareness that Baron has yet to be started. But SK, all 5 members grouped up. Cabochard might look for the engage.
Yeah, they're just trying to push SK away from mid lane and away from the minion wave, more importantly, because now SK are going to have to loop around to actually hit this wave. Or Vitality back away, or they don't want to go that deep in right now. If I'm Vitality, I want to send Milica up into that top lane, starting a tower, or just look for the pin.
Jenax going for the face check. There's the Bellows breath, but Cabochard almost dies straight away. The bullet time does a huge amount of work, and Comp just takes him out with the Moonlight Vigil. What? That shouldn't be allowed. NG's going to chase down. Jenax gets healed up with the Zoomies, but NG with the Ragnarok cannot be stopped. Jenax, though, heals up a huge amount. ZaZee still alive. Comp goes in. The shuffle comes out. ZaZee's going to fall, but here goes Milica. Trick has to try and get onto the Corki, gets the stun down, but Milica's getting healed up, and now it's Trick at his limit, and only the cat is alive. Left alone, has to run for the wind because Labrov is on the chase.
Let's fight!
You know how this tastes for Labrov? Tastes pretty purple, Ender, as he tries to take down Limit. But Limit has the honey fruit. No! The sustain! The sustenance! How can you do that?
No, Milica, go away!
No, go away! Leave him alone! Give it to Labrov. No,
how dare you? How dare you?
That ruins the sanctity
Can we just go to the next
of
game,
supportal
please?
combat.
That was so dishonorable.
Yeah.
That was so dishonorable. Milica, Labrov put in all is what I want to say. So let's talk about the fight.
Yeah,
it wasn't just about the sport. It was really, really weird because I do feel like Vitality are over-forcing here. Wild Growth comes down relatively late, and then how does Comp actually...
Hey, what? It's Moonlight Vigil with Inferno when it kills him.
Yeah, that also nuked ZaZee and Jenax there too, so they were taken very low. So the fight looked like it was lost, and then Aphelios did one of his things and got a whole lot of damage down, and then it's like, wait, are they winning? Are they not? The Azir ult goes that way. How...
ZaZee dies as he goes for the ult.
Yeah, so Jenax also got polymorphed there on top of Milica dealing damage. Trick, it gets crit and kited out a bit by the Corki, so hey.
Oh, Moonlight Vigil went wide. One less thing for Aphelios to do, and he's only got Gravitum and Severum here. Might not be that enough, but ZaZee jumped onto the back line, healed up now. Jenax on the front line gets the knockup, but the rest of his team can't get anywhere near him. He pops the stopwatch, but Jenax is just going to fall, surrounded by 4 members of Vitality. And SK were unwilling to step forward and help out their colleague, but Crownshot then stepped forward afterwards, rooted in place. Cabochard doesn't have flash, doesn't have the ability to catch out Crownshot anymore.
Vitality should be peeling back towards the Baron here. Jenax is dead for 30 seconds and still will be able to teleport into the fight, but Vitality can burn through this one very, very quickly, and Trick, without his flash, has almost no chance of stealing away the Baron. So Vitality, who were able to pick up the Cloud Soul on the back end of the previous team fight, get 1 kill in another mid lane scuffle, and the Baron on top.
Whew. That's a strange sequence of events, but Vitality come out on the winning side of it once again. We're having a look at this. As our Baron decides to stay around for a moment longer than expected.
Okay, so Comp goes a little bit wide right there, and then ZaZee goes straight into the backline, gets insta-rooted up. I believe Cabochard might have caught him there with the ultimate. ends up taking him very low, and once he's out of the fight, can't layer down the damage. Crownshot never really found an angle to layer his own ultimate. Just gonna use it to clear the wave and almost comp.
But that's the thing, Comp has the wild growth there, he's got the heal there to help him, he's got barrier as well, so even if he gets chunked quite low, he can keep himself safe in a moment like that. And you see now he's back to basically full HP and he can just chunk away at SK underneath the turret. So having a very good game as Comp 5-1-4 on this Aphelios in a very strong position, and Vitality are knocking on the doors of these inhibitors. 8,000 gold lead for them, 31 minutes in. A Baron, a Cloud Soul, and SK will need something miraculous to get back on into this one. NG's bringing the wave in the mid lane as the inhibitor in the top falls. And this will be the next one for Vitality. Knock up from Jenax does come in, but NG does still have the ultimate himself to get away if he needs to. And this, with the Nature's Grass coming out, Comp. Oh, the root. Okay, the root stopped Jenax, and then afterwards he pops his ultimate back. But here comes ZaZee getting some more damage down. It did look like 2 inhibitors, but it's not going to be for now as Trick. He's on the chase. It's a very angry bear. He's running in. The final chapter coming out as well. Lands the 3-man root, but they can't chase any further.
Yeah, he's a very angry bear. You're right, man. He wasn't able to do anything right there. Just like yelling, beating on his chest, like, I'm coming for you guys. Nope.
It's unbearable for him right now.
Gotta stop that. Okay.
It's a grisly situation for SK.
I hate it. I hate it. So, true story, in development, all of Volibear's tooltips were just relentlessly filled with bear puns. There were none held back, and they just turned me off to the idea entirely. Vitality, not slowing down on the base. Crownshot will use the ultimate to clear the wave, but Cabochard TP'd down to the bottom lane. NG is going to be there, so SK frantically sprinting between mid lane and bottom lane, and in 20 to 30 seconds, top lane super minions are going to need to be cleared out as well.
No ultimate available for Crownshot to clear this next wave as Vitality pushing without the minions and should just be able to take the tower down. You can see the shields coming out from Labrov helping Milica survive there. The inhibitor's going to fall.
And again, for the 12th time this game, Limit and Crownshot, no mana, so they can't help defend against the siege in mid lane. I don't know how that keeps happening. They constantly trying to cycle through the heals and, of course, to stay healthy and clear these minion waves. But now Vitality, seeing Crownshot up in that top lane, going to look to knock down the tower.
Jenax going to get chunked out. The inhibitor tower goes down. The root's going to land on 2 as Trick has to run away. Mikhail's to try and get him out of that one as he was stuck in spot for a second. But looks like Vitality going to back away. They have all 3 inhibitors down. They didn't get a kill, but I think they could have chipped away at those Nexus towers a little bit longer if they so desired.
Yeah, the Baron buff was just timing out, so I think they're just trying to reset here, and it's probably going to be about a 60-minute waffling around inside of SK's jungle. Then they find themselves an Elder Dragon and look to close this one out because Vitality have all the tools they could possibly need for this one. SK cannot reliably reach Milica and Comp in the backline, and even when they do, Labrov is there to make sure they never die.
It's great to see Milica and Comp have a strong performance in this game. Both of them at 5 kills and 4 assists each as well.
I will say, ZaZee just got the Death Crown upgrade, so hey, he's got some more damage here.
I mean, sure.
But it's still 3 items to 4 and soon to be a Void Staff or perhaps a Leandri's for Milica's Corki.
Well, we'll see. You know, if ZaZee can get some soldiers down, if the Call of the Forge God can connect onto Comp, maybe they can burst either him or Labrov down quickly enough to have some chance in this game. But right now, Milica, one auto attack takes half of ZaZee's health. He's healed up by the Yuumi. Here goes Comp. Stepping forward, the Inferno before Trick can even get close to so much damage. And there is the Moonlight Vigil.
Okay.
And there go SK. Call of the Forge God comes out. Crownshot being healed up. They try and lock down Comp, but the bullet time's hitting no one. And Vitality are hitting the Nexus. They will round out week 3 with a 3-4 scoreline.
I have no idea what's going on in our standings, Medic. I have absolutely no clue.
I don't understand how you find it so difficult to understand, right? So, Fnatic beat Vitality.
Yeah.
Vitality beat SK. SK beat G2. G2 beat Mad Lions. Mad Lions beat Origin. Origin then beat Fnatic, and that's the Circle of Suck.
Wait, are you saying our league is bad? No, our league is sick. It's so fun. I love this.
It's great. You guys can vote for Key of Play of the Game at home at LEC on Twitter. Milica, Comp, and Labrov are your options. I actually think you could do that circle with all 10 teams now.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a way you can go all the way around it.
Everyone beats everyone in the end. Somebody wins. Somebody wins.
Somebody wins. That is true. We will see who it is. I'm actually really excited because there have been 2 times in our history of European LEC EULCS where we haven't had Fnatic and G2 in the top 2 at the end of week 3 or end of week 4. and one of those was the Time Alliance one. The other one was when Vitality went 7-1 in their first few days, but...
And they went 1-0 today, man.
We have a 50% chance of another champion, a different champion. We'll see if it happens, but we'll soon hear as well from Labrov and what he has to say about that win before XL and Misfits face off in Game 2.
Charged up. Hello, everybody. Let the game begin.
and welcome back to the LEC studio. Here, Vitality won against SK Gaming and finished this third week in 1-1. I'm sorry. I have Labrov with me to talk about this victory. Hi, Labrov.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It was a convincing win from you guys, especially when you compare it to the game you had yesterday. So what was different today compared to the loss yesterday you had?
I think yesterday we just played better as a team and individual, you know. Like maybe we talked even a bit, I'm not sure. But today where everyone was more focused. And so that's why we played much better. And I'm pretty sure if we keep playing like this, we can beat every team.
All right. Well, I get that focus is a key aspect. And to be honest, when you look at the league right now, there's a lot of inconsistencies. Vitality is one of these teams who's been inconsistent since the beginning of the split. So how do you explain that, the results you had so far, and what you can make better moving forward?
I think we're slowly getting better at keeping good scrims and like being consistent overall in every game. And I think so far, like we had some bad games because we were together like for some weeks.
Yeah.
And we didn't scrim many games, you know. And I think from week by week, it's getting slowly better. And I hope it will.
It is.
Like that.
And you guys need to find this synergy. Indeed, you started working together as a group just quite recently here. And talking a bit more about your performances as a team and all the players here during this game, who was the best player according to you?
I think me. I'm kidding. I think everyone played pretty good.
Yeah.
And even though we could finish the game much faster, we were scared a bit, I guess, but overall everyone played pretty good.
You all played super good, I can agree on that, but the community has to choose one player usually as the player of the game. You were in the votes, but I'm sorry for this time, it's your mid laner Milica who gets it. So what can you tell me about working with Milica since the beginning and what he brings to this Vitality lineup?
Milica is a pretty funny guy outside of game, and he's really hardworking and like smart in game as well, you know. So it's really, really nice working with him and being teammate with him. And yeah.
And I know that someone also told me that you had a very good relationship with Comp. And actually, it's the first full Greek bot lane we have in European history. So tell me about working with Comp and the synergy you have.
It's really nice, actually. Like we fit outside, very good, even outside of the game, and I think so far we are doing good in game. So I think I pretty much like him and playing with him and having him in my team.
That's nice that you guys get along. And I mean, to be honest, listening to your answers, I can really see this synergy growing with Vitality. And thank you so much for this interview, Labrov, and good luck for week 4. Well. And we're going to take a short break and we'll come back in a few minutes for Game 2, Misfits versus XL Esports. Stay tuned.
Oh! Reckless dodge the petrifying gaze from Perk! G2 are destroying!
He manages to take down Perk!
Fanatics are popping up and G2 don't get a chance!
And G2 find 3! The Jankos no ult, remember, he can't get out of this. G2, the perfect team fight! Slides his way in and flashes forward with Bo. And it's Fanatics who are coming out on top! There's a monsoon, Sammy's gonna go down. Oh no, Reckless jumped away from him! The Jankos will be shut down. Here comes the charge in from the side, and G2 can do nothing about it. Low here as well, Cavs might look for that true shot barrage. Jankos gonna jump into the pit, he goes unstoppable, he steals it!
It's secure for G2!
G2 are inevitable! G2 are inescapable! Snack